the Hawthorne School for Exceptional Young Men. They called an emergency council. Were obliged to get on a plane immediately. Airline food for lunch when I made reservations at Galatoire's. It's just too cruel.
She's the guardian of veracity in the vernacular, can play multiple musical instruments, has impeccable fashion sense, and is the queen at throwing shade.
You are the worst kind of Hollywood cliché. A bobblehead with crotchless panties.
We met Myrtle Snow way back in Coven, and she's back from the dead, yet again, for Season 8. Let's explore everything you need to know about Myrtle Snow as we prepare for the coming apocalypse. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for our weekly episode breakdowns of American Horror Story Apocalypse and more of our character deep dives. We've already covered Cordelia Good, Madison Montgomery, Constance and Tate Langdon, and Misty Day. Let us know who you'd like to see next. Way back in Coven, we were introduced to Myrtle Snow within the first 10 minutes of Season 3. She arrived at Zoe Benson's house to take the exceptional young lady to Miss Robichaux's academy. But in order to get a good idea of who she is, we have to go back a few years to the 1970s. See, Myrtle grew up within the walls of the academy, and even as a young witch, she was rivals with Fiona Good. It was here that Anna Leigh Layton was the Coven Supreme, a title that Fiona was determined to grab. That's right, Fiona murdered Layton in order to take her place. She was questioned by the Witches' Council but lies and tells them that she has no clue where Layton could be. She then tells the council that Layton's wishes were for her to take over.
Liar! 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 Liar!
But it's too late as the Academy holds a nice little dinner party to announce Fiona's appointment as the next Supreme. Myrtle is pissed. She knows Fiona lied and suspects her of murdering Layton. Then Fiona goes all Real Housewives on her.
Bitch, you and I ain't never gonna be friends.
Woo! Jesus help me!
Be real careful.
This is scary.
The only person that knows the truth is Spaulding, who helped cover up the murder for Fiona. Myrtle enchanted his tongue the night before he was to speak in front of the council. This would prevent him from telling any lie. But before the night is over, the Coven finds Spaulding on the bathroom floor with his tongue cut out of his mouth. It looks pretty damn suspicious with Fiona there, but as it turns out, Spaulding is just extremely loyal to her. Like, cut your own tongue out of your mouth loyal. Myrtle knew that Fiona was incapable of a Supreme's duties, but she was unable to prove Fiona's guilt. So Fiona became the next Supreme and Myrtle the head of the Witches' Council. The rivalry between these two would continue for years to come.
I am, after all, the Supreme.
Sadly, you are. But given the state of this coven and this school, one could be forgiven for thinking we've been without a Supreme for the past 40 years.
If you don't like the way I run things, take it up with the council.
Let's fast forward to present-day Coven. Myrtle is holding it down on the Witches' Council with Quentin Fleming and Cecily Pembroke. She's tasked with bringing Zoe to the academy, but we don't see her again until Madison's disappearance. She was actually murdered by Fiona. After noticing she could no longer hear Madison's thoughts, Nan summoned the council to the academy. They then questioned everyone to find out what happened. Myrtle correctly accused Fiona of killing Madison, but Fiona was prepared. Remember, she plays dirty. The Supreme fabricated some evidence and used Queenie's powers to frame Myrtle as Madison's killer and Cordelia's acid attacker, both of which were false. Regardless, the council deems that Myrtle is guilty, and she's sentenced to burn at the stake as the Coven watches on.
Any last words?
We're all a bunch of little toads in a pot that Fiona is slowly bringing to a boil. You won't even feel it until it's too late. I'd rather burn than boil.
Lucky for Myrtle, Misty Day stumbled across her charred remains before those dogs could do some serious damage. Misty brings her to her secret garden, buries her in some magic dirt, and adds water. A few days later, Myrtle rises from the earth just in time to warn Misty that a suspicious witch assassin was about to shoot her. Turns out that was Cordelia's murdering ex-husband, Hank. At this point, Myrtle is pretty much convinced that Misty is the next Supreme, so she begins the Sacred Taking, which is how the Coven will find its next Supreme. Problem is, they just need Fiona to die first. Both Madison and Myrtle tried their best to persuade Fiona to take her own life. It didn't work, but at least Myrtle got some free jewelry out of it.
Half of it's paste, but goddamn, half of it's good.
But the good news is that Cordelia finally realizes how evil her mother truly is. They had an awful relationship, and Myrtle was much more of a mother to Cordelia than Fiona ever was. She brought Cordelia to the academy when she was a teenager, when Fiona had other priorities. Deep down, Cordelia knows that Myrtle would never have executed that acid attack on her. Myrtle feels so bad about Cordelia's current predicament that she helps her get her vision back. It involves the council and a melon baller. Myrtle gets her revenge on Pemby and Quentin, and guess what? Cordelia has some new eyes.
Turkish Angora cat who was born with one brown eye and one blue. She was absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, I can see.
Oddly enough, Cordelia gets her vision back but loses the power of the sight. Don't worry, nothing that some gardening shears wouldn't fix. By the way, I promise no more eyeball violence in this video. Let's fast forward to the trial of the Seven Wonders. Following the deaths of Misty and then Zoe, Myrtle finally convinces Cordelia to test her own true powers. And Myrtle was right. Cordelia destroys the competition while Madison throws a fit. Kyle kills Madison because she refused to bring Zoe back to life. At that very instant, Cordelia successfully brings Zoe back to life, proving once and for all that she was destined to become the Coven's leader.
Behold, the one true supreme.
Cordelia immediately opens up the doors of the academy to any and all exceptional young ladies looking for a home. When it comes to the topic of the Witches' Council, Myrtle insists that she must step down and be burned at the stake. Remember, she did kill her former council members and needs to take responsibility. Those are the rules. So against Cordelia's own wishes, she was forced to kill Myrtle once again. But you know she went out in style.
Any last words?
Only one.
But that wouldn't be the last we'd hear from Myrtle. In this season's Apocalypse, we learn that Cordelia brought Myrtle back from the dead after she had a horrific Walking Dead vision of the future.
Cordelia, what have you done? I gave you strict instructions not to bring me back.
I know. But danger is coming.
After Queenie was killed in Hotel Cortez, Cordelia was in need of Myrtle's guidance and wisdom on the Witches' Council. A few years before the apocalypse, the council was summoned to meet with the Hawthorne School for Exceptional Young Men, aka the Warlocks. Their newest recruit, Michael Langdon, showed some extraordinary gifts, and they demanded that he attempt the Seven Wonders trial. They believed Michael was the Alpha, stronger than any other Warlock, Witch, or Supreme. In reality, he's the Antichrist. To put it lightly, Myrtle is not a fan of letting a man attempt the Seven Wonders.
You're not even hearing us out.
There's nothing to hear. There will never be a male supreme. It will simply never happen.
But after Michael brings both Queenie and Madison back from hell, Cordelia has no choice but to let him attempt the test. Myrtle is still pissed.
Cordelia, this isn't done.
That is my decision, and nothing in the world will change my mind.
See, Myrtle would rather delay the Warlock's wishes and wait for one of the witches to emerge, like Mallory, who has immense powers herself, like turning flowers into butterflies. Michael eventually takes the test and proves he's incredibly strong. And for extra credit, he even brings Misty Day back from hell as well. The bad news, Michael is nearly unstoppable, but the good news, the entire Coven is now reunited. On present-day Halloween 2021, months after the apocalypse, Cordelia, Myrtle, and Madison show up to Outpost 3, which used to be the Hawthorne School. They're searching for their fallen sisters, aka witches, Coco, Mallory, and Dina, who were basically undercover witches the entire time. They just had identity spells on them. They come face to face with Michael, and Myrtle uses another epic shade spell.
Perhaps you haven't noticed the state of the world.
It's almost as bad as your dinner jacket, but at least the world can be saved.
By you?
by all of us.
Guys, we only have 2 more episodes left to see if the Coven can stop Michael in the apocalypse, but in the meantime, let us know your favorite line from Myrtle Snow in the comments below. Also, which other characters would you like to see us cover? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.